What are we waiting for? Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, sort it out. Why has there been no deal yet? Hi, it's Dean from Box, and still, Sir Lewis Hamilton has yet to be announced as the driver for Mercedes in 2021. Why? Well, there are there's loads of popular theories out there on the internet. There's always people saying close sources to the discussions. I don't know what sources they are, but there's all kinds of different theories going on, and I'm going to sort of summarize a few of those theories now. Most popular theory from the fans at the moment, maybe the non-Lewis Hamilton fans, I should say that, is simply that the dude wants far too much dosh and he wants a multi-year contract that will actually, in fact, harm Mercedes beyond 2023. This is because they've obviously got it's a lot of talk about driver wage caps, salary caps at the moment. And essentially what that means is that if they choose to pay over what the salary cap is, that will come out of their overall budget. The basic idea is that the teams will have, I think it's a maximum of $30 million to split between two drivers. Most will spend... most are going to spend significantly less than that, let's be honest. But the top teams, they could be looking at, significant wage bills, which will then ultimately come out of their overall budgets. And as Mercedes are probably the most well-funded team out there, they're already going to be hurting from the budget cuts already. So therefore, that's something that they simply can't do. That's not going to be possible. And if we're talking about what's been rumoured, 40 to 45 million per year for Lulu, that's going to be a difficult pill to swallow if you're Mercedes. 2021 is the start of the budget caps in terms of the overall, and this is going to go in increments after. Probably most likely Mercedes is going to be feeling the pinch already. So what could possibly be Mercedes' counter offer? I suppose one way of looking at it is they're probably going to say a 1-year deal, and that's going to have you can't value me that much mindset possibly set on Lewis. I know if I was offered a 1-year deal after I'd just won my 7th world title, I'd be a bit sort of miffed. But I suppose they're going to look at a 1-year deal, maybe some kind of sponsorship deal where maybe a shareholder like Ineos have indicated that they can pay for Hamilton. Once again, these all sources close to the discussions have said that Ineos will pay Hamilton's salary. But maybe for the 36-year-old driver, that's not the most secure deal on the table, and he's probably wanting more. One of the other fan theories out there is that he is going to be demanding that he has overall say as to who can be his teammate, whether it's going to be Valtteri or somebody else down the road, George. Now, obviously, he'd want to keep Bottas on because, Bottas makes everyone look good. I'm not so sure he would say that. I don't know. I can't imagine Lewis demanding that. I just can't. And I'm not the world's biggest Lewis Hamilton fan. When Lewis tested positive for COVID-19 in the second of the Bahrain races, us non-Lewis fans, but non-Lewis haters as well, so, kind of that middle ground, the fence sitters, if you like, were absolutely fascinated by what this guy from the back of the grid, who is generally at risk of being overtaken by the medical car, it has to be said, what could he achieve? What could George Russell achieve? Despite him being, much taller. I mean, he is much taller. I can't remember how many centimetres he was taller, but no, that's inches. And his feet were too big for the shoes. And there's photos of George's hands. When he got out in the car, all his knuckles were sort of red where he'd been sort of banging them against the inside of the cockpit. A steering wheel, incidentally, that he had virtually no idea what all the buttons done. So, you've got a guy who's far too tall for the car, his feet don't fit, he's wearing shoes too small, his knuckles are getting bloodied up from being too big in the car, and also he doesn't know what all the buttons are doing on the steering wheel, and yet he still beats Bottas to the first corner. He still controls the race, doesn't cook his tyres, has an answer for pretty much everything out there, except for obviously Mercedes dropping the ball not once but twice. It has to be said, Hamilton-esque. He looked in complete control of the race. So if I was Lewis Hamilton sitting there, I'd be thinking, bollocks. cat's out of the bag now, isn't it? That car is just simply too good. Anybody could do well in it, except for Valtteri Bottas. And maybe as a result, Mercedes sat there and went, oh, we could save ourselves a few quid here, couldn't we? Do Mercedes think like that? Is Hamilton a commodity to Mercedes? Is he a consumable to Mercedes? I don't think he is. I think they look at him and say, well, not only is he great for the sport, he's great for our brand. He's clean. He's not going to get himself into any trouble. And if anything, he brings so much more than the monetary remuneration package that he's demanding. Don't think Mercedes sit there and go, wow, this guy's costing us a fortune. How can we save a few quid? I just don't think it enters their mind. But it has to be said that given the performance of Bottas and George at Bahrain, it is conceivable that if they were to continue doing that, the Mercedes would be constructors champions for not just sort of next year, but the year after. Red Bull could be closer, but maybe Mercedes sit there and go, well, look at our DNA, look at the strengths, look at our plans for development, look at what it is. We just need some competent drivers in there and we'll deliver that. But is money the ultimate driving force for Lewis? If you believe what Lewis's dad says, then the answer probably is no. It's not about legacy. It's not about trophies. I'm going to quote here. Anthony said, he's not racing for trophies. He races because he loves what he does and also he loves to inspire others. Maybe if that's the case, he's worried about a short-term contract paving the way for a planned introduction of George Russell in the team in 2022, thus booting out the potentially 8th world champion out. Although, check out my video why I think that's not going to happen this year. Maybe Lewis is looking at his platform, the F1 platform, and saying, well, I found my voice. I know what motivates me outside of Formula One, and I want to use this platform, this pinnacle of motorsport, to get my message across. Some fans believe that's what Lewis is thinking. He thinks that, that he's reached this pinnacle of sport. All eyes are on him, so it's now his chance to sort of like shine light on issues that need to be raised, whether they be environmental, whether they be Black Lives Matter. Possibly that's one fan theory. There's no real counter argument for that because nobody really knows what goes on in Lewis's mind except to say that statistically he's the most successful F1 driver ever. He's been knighted recently. He leads most of the laps. He wins most of the races. And if that's not enough to get everyone's attention, then I think that says more about us than it does him. So I can't see that. Maybe that's what goes through his head. He's like, unless I stay at the forefront, unless I stay at the lead, then nobody's going to sort of take me seriously. I mean, if Kimi Räikkönen suddenly started, being political, would anybody take any notice? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to imagine Kimi doing that, but anyway. And the final theory offered up by fans is that Lewis, he wants a short-term contract. Mercedes want to tie him into something longer, but Lewis may want to go off and do something else. He's tired of all the winning, and he wants to go off and design, men's underwear and record music. I mean, really? I don't know. Whatever it is, the longer this video goes on, the more likely they are to sign a contract and it's going to get out of date. And this would have all been for nothing. So before it gets to that, I'm going to end it here. Let me know what your opinions are in the comments below. Why is it that they've not yet signed? What could be the reason why it's not been tied together? Is it any of the reasons I've mentioned? Is it the fact that he hasn't got the money he's looking for, or he wants the term to be longer, or the fact that Mercedes want to somehow engineer a way to get him out of the team to bring young, cheaper blood in? I don't know. Or is it that actually Lewis wants a short-term contract and Mercedes want a long-term contract? Whatever it is, let me know. Hit that like button, hit it like Toto Wolff. And I'll see you again very soon.